All right, welcome to NCAA Week 1 in review, and then we're going to look at Week 2 preview as well. Let's start off with Week 1. Let's go ahead with big FSU, the NCAA, ESPN Game Day. What did y'all think?
I thought the Cowboys almost took down the Indians in that one, didn't you?
That's what it looked like to me.
It was a pretty good game. You could see some of the struggles of the Week 1 game, how the teams were just kind of coming in, getting started. Jameis Winston threw 2 picks in the game, but they still won. So I think that's kind of a good sign.
Well, he was able to pull off, 370-something yards?
It was a good number of yards.
A couple touchdowns, one touchdown, got sacked a couple times, a couple picks, ran.
Sure, he had a phenomenal run, that little hurdle and juke. But I think there was moments where you saw that Florida State team that we know is good, but then there was just moments where you're like, what are we seeing?
That's right. They did have those moments, and granted, the rest of their season, especially with Clemson struggling, it looks like the rest of their season is coasting. It's a downhill.
It depends, because they play Louisville and Florida at the end of the season, and maybe Florida's back, you don't know. They have to say it,
that remains to be seen, for sure. They played good. How about Alabama? They struggled. They struggled against West Virginia.
They struggled early on against Trickett.
Yeah, I think you got to give credit to Trickett. I mean, this is a kid who played at Florida State. His dad's a coach. He looked pretty sharp in that game, so I credit a lot of that to him.
And Kevin White is a receiver. Trickett could throw it it didn't matter what was happening. Kevin seemed to be able to pull it down. But I think it also revealed a weakness in the Alabama secondary, which was there from last year. We were seeing that weakness, and I just think they have not fixed that.
In Sims, he was quarterback, and they played
He was productive, but not flashy. And it just, no touchdowns. No throwing touchdowns from him. A couple, 250 yards or so.
But
overall, how would you grade the offense? You think Lane Kiffin did pretty good for a first?
I would say
not that impressive.
I would say it was a good game.
I think
200 rushing yards. Anytime you have.
Well, I already mentioned to you guys. I think offensive line was impressive. Sims he had all day. I saw him smoking a cigarette back there at one point. He had all kinds of time.
Sure. I think at the end of the day, what worries me most about Alabama is not their offense. I think it's their defense. I think that's where you got to. If you give up that many yards, maybe West Virginia's that good.
We'll get into it because Texas A&M, they'll be chomping at the bit to put up some points on Alabama when the time comes. Yeldon and Henry both had over 100 yards each, so that the running game's strong. Auburn, they struggled in the first half. They did run 2 different quarterbacks.
Once again, Auburn's weakness is definitely their defense.
Sure.
Because their offense, they had, I think, 200 plus throwing yards in the first half, and that wasn't even with.
That's right. That's not even with Nick Marshall.
That's.
I think that Auburn stayed with them with a half. Arkansas stayed with them for a half, but then Auburn flexed their muscle, and I think that's this.
And I think we saw that a lot in these opening games. That a lot of teams were able to stick through a first half, but when it came to the second half and really showing that they were they weren't there. And that's typical. That's what happens.
Still talking about the SEC, Georgia, Clemson. Right?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Yes.
And
talking about the first half, second half business. My word.
Georgia came out. Georgia doesn't matter who's running the ball. Gurley was phenomenal. They had this young kid that was just breaking tackles, bouncing off people. Yeah. I think Georgia should be a contender not only for the East, but possibly for the SEC.
I think they're a contender for the national.
They are.
That's a little ahead of us.
With Gurley. Yeah. I don't know without Gurley. He had as much yards himself as a lot of teams get, or wish they had.
It's like
294 all-purpose yards.
Yeah,
because it's tremendous.
And maybe that's early Heisman candidate right there.
Yeah.
If he continues, and if he doesn't get hurt, and if yes, that's right. There's that possibility. LSU had to mount a comeback against Wisconsin in the fourth quarter, and it really, I would say, off Les Miles, that fake punt. That was huge,
sure.
And then they were able to come back, 15 points, make that up.
That was impressive.
I don't know if you guys are getting the just normalness here of SEC keep on winning.
Yeah. I think we saw it in Boise State and Ole Miss too. I think we saw it as a common thread. You're saying throughout all these games, the Big 12 brought West Virginia to go pound with Alabama. Then you had Big 10, had Wisconsin was up 24-7.
Yeah.
And then you had ACC Clemson couldn't do it against them, and obviously Mountain West at Boise. And at the end of the day, you got the talent to stick around to the end of the game. That's what's going to win games. That's why SEC continues.
Yeah, I think the only SEC team that lost was Vanderbilt.
Yeah. And they'll continue to do that. Okay, let's talk about your UCF. Over in Ireland, At first I was worried,
Yeah.
and then they looked like they were coming back and they were able to play.
Now,
They got young guys.
You said it was because they didn't start the quarterback you wanted them to start at the beginning.
Sure. Justin Holman, remember we talked about this before? Holman, athletic quarterback, can throw the ball, has a cannon of an arm. He didn't start in the second half. The Pete DeNovo, the starting quarterback, had 38 yards of total offense in the first half. Ineffective. You bring in this other guy, and all of a sudden he let him down the field with about a minute to go. They take the lead, but the defense couldn't hold it. Hackenberg looked phenomenal except for his 2 interceptions. But all in all, I think UCF had a good showing. I think that they found their quarterback, and I think they have Missouri in next week. But it looks like I think they'll be all right in the American Conference.
Yeah, but I doubt they'll beat Missouri, but they'll still probably do all right.
Missouri looked pretty good. Not spectacular, but
Yeah.
pretty good in their game as well.